Darlings, how are you? Today's live is why men lose interest in you and pull away. Let's have this conversation. How are you doing? I love to see you. Now, I'm going to give you a pre-warning. My internet is a bit dodgy, and we've got a masterclass on Saturday. I'm so excited. And I hope you've registered for the masterclass. If you haven't, just go to any of my posts and type in masterclass. And you will get a link to the masterclass on Saturday. It's going to be on. Hello, honey bunny. Shantae. Willis, hey baby girl, what? So good to see you. So today we're going to have a chit chat, and hello here from Italy, from a very sweet and very beautiful island called Sardinia. I will be here for a few weeks, for a while, because guess what? I'm on my eat, pray, love journey. I maybe will share more about that on another day. But hello, my darlings. So please forgive me if the internet goes back and forth. We've had a few tech problems, and hopefully on Saturday will be resolved, and we should have a good stream. But we're gonna roll with the punches, okay, darlings? So good to see you. Right, so let's get into today's topic. Hello, Ola Chaska. Girls, please forgive me if I don't get your names right, because I know some of your handles are very unique and very special, but I see you and I appreciate you and I love you. Okay, so let's just get started, okay? And by the way, if my lights go off again, this is going to be ad-lib. This is not going to be a perfect situation, so I'm hoping my lights will hold and everything will hold, because I'm not at home. It's Coach Yvonne and Coach Nadine. Everybody's on here. Let's get on with it, because the people watching the replay are thinking, oh, get on with it, love. All right. So I wanted to do this topic today because honestly, girls, I did a reel on this topic, why men lose interest in you. And of course, my black swans, my darlings, my beautiful, gracious, elegant swans were like, thank you, Mama Swan. Thank you. We're gonna take this on. We're gonna grow. We're gonna flourish, which is why I create this content for you, my darlings, my beautiful, beautiful swans. But then there were, little ducklings, and little chickens, okay, who have to yet graduate into becoming swans, who were like, nah. You say all of these things because the man doesn't like the man loves you. Listen, okay, girls, I just need to address this level of foolishness, because you know how I am. I can't tolerate foolishness. We all want to be the exception to the rule. Me too. I want to be the exception to the rule. I want to do what I like, when I like, say what I like, behave the way I want, and still win. I mean, who doesn't want that deal? I want to sleep all day, eat what I like, and still stay slim. I want to be lazy and make money. We all want to be the exception to the rule. And I want to be the girl who's like, you're the exception to the rule. Because there are exceptions to every rule. But pretty much every human has to assume they're not the exception and give God all the thanks and praise if they happen to be the exception. We have this mindset, especially as women. We're really prone to delusion as women because of the way that our brains are wired, because we kind of use both sides of the brain, which kind of makes us unable to touch down with reality. We like to remain in fantasy because we're thinking and feeling simultaneously, and that kind of creates an alternate reality for us, okay? And so it's very hard for us to accept the realities of how male attraction works. It's very difficult. I had a moment like that this weekend. I watched a friend's podcast, and I heard something shocking. And I had to ask him, is this really truly the nature of, I know it up here, but is it really true? And he confirmed it, and I'm still reeling, right? Because there's a part of me that struggles with the true nature of men. And I'm an expert, and I work with men, I work with women, and I help women get married to men, high quality men, right? And I help people stay in marriages with high quality men, and I help people get out of relationships with horrible men. Okay, I've been doing this for such a long time, since I was 9 years old. Okay, my first client was my mother. So I have been doing this pretty much all my life. So it's my calling and my gift, but I still get shocked because the woman in me, the girl in me, finds it really hard to accept certain realities. As women, we have been scripted, programmed, and conditioned to believe that fairy tales exist, that there is this world, you know, when you watch Hollywood movies, there's this really obnoxious, angry woman who has been hurt by love, and she's out here, and this man battles through her wall and fights through it to get to her, and finally she melts and trusts men again and has this beautiful love story, which teaches women to believe that, hey, look, if the right guy will tolerate BS. The right guy will tolerate your trauma. The right guy will tolerate your brokenness, and the right guy will tolerate your stupidity, and the right guy will accept your broken pieces, okay? We have been scripted and conditioned to believe that we don't have to change, that we are just so sweet and lovely and beautiful and wonderful, and it's just we have to find the right guy. And now I'm here to tell you that you are a divine being made in the image and likeness of God. Your divine nature is your spirit, but we are all on that journey to look like our spirits. And until we get there, our souls are going to get in the way. Our programming is going to get in the way. Our conditioning is going to get in the way. So I never want us to feel that we're not valuable in our being. We are valuable in our being. And as a woman, we are co-creators with God. We hold wombs. Our wombs are symbolic of co-creation, whether you have children through your womb or whether you never ever give birth to a child. Your womb is a symbol and a sign that you are a co-creator with God. Your place as a woman in this world is insanely divine. But don't ever believe that comes with no work, that we don't have to live up to the divinity of who we are. We can be truly divine in our truest essence and nature, but we also have to live it out. We have to show it. We have to exhibit it. We have to show that we are conscious of that reality. And so many of us want to be dusty. We want to just do what our feelings tell us to do. We want to do what feels good. We want to do what feels comfortable. And when people like myself come here and say to you, baby, the thing that's gonna get you to where you need to go is gonna be very uncomfortable. Okay, it's going to be difficult. You lash out. Okay, I can tell you what you want to hear. I mean, I can tell you you're perfect. I can tell you that the sun shines out of you behind, but then by the time you're old, miserable, unhappy, you're gonna look back and think, somebody lied to me. That won't be me. I won't be the girl that lied to you. I'm gonna be your big sister. I'm gonna be your auntie. I'm gonna be your mama. I'm gonna be whatever you need me to be. But that one person in your life that's gonna tell it to you straight and give you the truth so that you have an opportunity to change, okay? We have to dismantle and unlearn something so that we can grow. So if I have anybody in these comments saying, yeah, but, there's no yeah, but. I'm not sharing my opinion with you, darlings. I am not an influencer. I am not a content creator. I'm a relationship expert with tons and tons and tons of testimonials, thousands and thousands and thousands of women and men's lives that can speak for me. So I am not here to create content and keep you entertained, albeit I try. And I'm not here to influence you. I'm here to share expert knowledge to help you win in the game of love, especially if you want to win with men. Because I used to be a doormat, and I used to be you. And I learned the hard way. And I wish I had had a Chengi who would have taught me the better way. I don't want you to hurt. I don't want you to be rejected. I don't want you to go through what I've gone through. I want you to stand upon my shoulders and win in love. Because every time we're disappointed, every time a man pulls away, every time we're ghosted, it takes a piece of our souls. Can we say that? Can we be vulnerable enough to say, every time I like a guy and I think he could be the one and we're vibing and there's something delicious that's happening between the two of us and he pulls away, I want to make it mean nothing, but it takes a piece of my soul. And that keeps happening, that keeps happening, that keeps happening, and it starts to dig away at our self-worth. And it starts to dig away at our self-esteem. And it's going to keep happening, right? If we don't heed, if we're not going to be wise, if we're not going to have the right emotional mastery around being high value, being feminine. That will constantly be your reality. And then you're going to tell yourself, hey, you know, these men are full of crap. These men are cows. These men, right? It's just going to be convenient to say these men are useless. And then guess what? You're not ready to change your orientation. But then what? Okay. And men do it too. Men do it too. They don't want to change. They don't want to work with the reality of women. Do you know what the red pill is? It's the maladaptation of men coming into the realization of the true nature of women. Because men thought we were angels. They thought we were sweet little angels that just wanted to love them for who they are, right? And they realized that actually we are very selfish. And we need to be it because we carry wombs, right? So if you were born and the treasure is hidden in you, your psychology and your spirituality is designed to protect what's in you. So the feminine must always protect her treasure because we're born with wombs that are symbolic of our ability to co-create with God. And so the feminine is selfish. The feminine in its pure glory has always got to put herself, her safety, her comfort first, because she doesn't protect just herself. She is the mother of all creation. But men don't understand that. They thought we were here to protect them. They thought we were going to take care of them. And so the red pill came out and was like, listen, women are built this way. If you're not going to provide, protect, and cherish them, they're going to go. And they thought, oh, these hoes, you know, these horrible, horrible hoes are horrible. We're going to hate them, and we're going to not chase them, and we're not going to pursue them, and we're not going to love on them. We're going to hate them. That's what red pill is. It was never meant to be a hater of women. It was really just a married man trying to teach men about the true nature of women, and they just could not get their heads around it. And when I try to red pill you ladies, okay, and teach you the true nature of men, you maladapt. Some of you get upset, right? You don't want to learn the true nature of man, and man has to be the way that he is. Men have to be, and I'm going to talking about that in the masterclass this Saturday, so make sure you're coming to that, because I am going to, this masterclass is for the mature. I'm really not interested in debating and going back and forth with children and immature girls, right? I only deal with real women, because black swans are grown women, maturing women, healing women, okay? So if you're a baby and you don't like to hear the truth, or you're a hardcore feminist and you don't want to hear the reality, or it upsets you, don't come, okay? You're uninvited. But if you really want to get to grips with the true nature of men, I invite you to come to the masterclass, because there's some things I'm going to tell you about men that we as women don't like, but they have to be that way, because whilst we protect the womb and have to be inward. This is why feminine energy is inward. That's why we live within the body. That's why, because we're protecting the creation, because God creates with woman, okay? He creates divine things with women. So the woman must always be protected, and she must always prioritize her own protection. But God penetrates the world through men. That's why they have to be outward. That's why they're built to be outward. And that's why they have certain protocols and psychology around them that is very, that's how they have to be. And we have to learn how to be different and complementary. Okay, so we're going to talk about that at the masterclass, the hidden truths about men, their money, sex and power. Come on, how excited. I'm very excited to be able to share this with you. So now that we have that out of the way, let's get into today's topic. I'm going to just really be elaborating on the reel that I did so that we can get some understanding, and hopefully you can ask me some questions. If the internet holds and the lights hold and everything holds, you can ask me some questions, but I do promise to save this live for you. Okay? Number one, men will lose interest. This list is not exhaustive. I'm only going to do 7, okay? But I'm going to touch on the 7 core reasons. So you meet this guy. Like I said earlier, he's amazing. You've been waiting to meet this person. You've been on dates with men that just want to make you cry in your soup. Some of them are just so stupid. Some of them are just so ignorant. Some of them are just so angry. Some of them are just so... And finally, you're sitting and you're meeting this guy. Maybe it's in a real life situation on the app, and there's just something about him. There's this resonance. There's this resonance. There's this connection, and you just vibe. You know, you could talk to him forever. This thing feels real. It feels real in your body. It feels like I can exhale. I can finally breathe and exhale. Okay. And things are going great. And then a puff out of the blue. Boom. Boom. He pulls back. If he doesn't pull back, he ghosts. If he doesn't ghost, he dumps you. And you are shooketh, because you didn't see it coming, okay? You cannot imagine what you could have possibly done. Things were going great for you. What happened? Well, let's assume this guy is not a narcissist who was love bombing you, okay? So we're going to take that out of the equation because, yeah, that is classical behavior of a narcissist. We're going to assume he's not a sociopath or psychopath. Okay, so let's just take those assumptions, get them out of this conversation. We're talking about a genuine guy. The connection was real, but something happened. Okay. Now, it's not all 7. It might be one of the 7 or a combination of the 7, and it may be other things as well. Number 1, you got comfortable too quickly. Okay. Nothing good happens in comfort zones, girls. And this is a real problem in the dating world, in the relationship world. Both men and women have this problem. But when it comes to mastering attraction, and this is something I want to establish just before I get into this. Dating is for gathering data and raising attraction. To the extent you can raise attraction is to the extent that you can gather data. Because we're only ever going to open up, give more of ourselves to the people that we feel more and more and more attracted to. Okay? So you go on a date and you have no attraction to this guy whatsoever. In fact, you're thinking, can I go home? And he wants to start asking you some deep questions about yourself. All of a sudden, you're not willing to open up because he hasn't raised the attraction enough. Something, unfortunately, men don't get taught enough to do, because I think the whole kind of red pill nonsense has made men feel like they don't have to raise attraction anymore. Okay. So, and both women and men have to raise attraction. It's our job. If I'm going to get more out of you, if I'm going to get more data, I have to raise attraction as I get more data. So the more this man raises attraction for you, the more you want to share about yourself. Right? You know, you really think he's sexy, you're vibing, he's doing all the right things, he's making you feel pretty and special, and he asks you some deeper questions, you're more willing to share than if you're thinking, can I go home now? Right? So it's always a balance of raising attraction, gathering data. Raise attraction, gather data. And what we want to be doing when we're dating is perpetually and consistently be raising attraction. because I'm never going to get to the core of a man. I'm never going to get to the real truth about him unless he's truly attracted to me. Because guess what? Both men and women do it. If a man is not highly attracted, if his attraction for me is not high, and then when I'm talking about high attraction, I'm not talking about sexual attraction, okay? A man is sexually attracted to you when he sees you, when he asks you on a date. That sexual attraction has been established. Of course, you could probably look prettier. You could probably wear a nice little dress. You can do all of these things to heighten sexual attraction. But I'm actually talking about emotional attraction, the kind of attraction that makes a man sit back and go, this girl's special. She's amazing, right? The kind of attraction that he loves your effervescence, your energy. He wants to be around you. That is an art, it is a skill, and it is a science. Okay. It's something you can learn to do and be. You can be an addictive woman, okay, if you know what to do and what not to do, but more importantly, who to be and who not to be, okay? So when we're talking about raising attraction, I'm not just talking about the sexual attraction. I'm talking about the emotional attraction of a man. And he has to raise your emotional attraction for him. But right now, we're women and we're talking about men, okay? I know there's some guys on this call, and that's fine. You're welcome. Hello, gentlemen. Lovely to have you. Now, we get comfortable too quickly. That's number one. To raise attraction is work. To raise attraction, you have to think. You have to understand principles. You have to understand certain things. And so work is required, which means to raise attraction, you have to be comfortable. You have to be out of your comfort zone. You can't be pursuing comfort, right? Now, the masculine needs to provide comfort for the feminine in order for her to build trust, okay? So if I was coaching men, I would say the first thing you must provide very quickly is comfort in the feeling of her safety, and the feeling that she's going to be safe with you, that she can trust you. So that's his priority. But for you as a feminine, it's not your job to establish comfort within him. It's really to see whether he makes you feel comfortable, but you're not here to pursue comfort. A lot of us think, I want to find that person, okay, that I can be myself with. I want to find that person I can be myself with. And often when we say myself, what we're really saying is, I want to find that person who I can belch and blow wind with. Like the person who I can show the parts of me that are not as attractive and they still choose me. Right? I want to be with that person who will see me in the heights of my glory and love me equally when I'm not at the heights of my glory, when I'm not as patient as I should be, when I'm not as regulated as I should be, when I'm not as together as I should be. We have been taught this idea that the utopia of relationships is to find that person who you can be your worst version with. If they can't accept you at your worst, they don't deserve you at your best, which is a lot of BS. By the way, nobody should have to accept you at your worst. Nobody. You don't go to work and say that to your boss. If you can't accept the worst possible performance from me, you don't deserve the best possible performance. You don't say that to your boss. Do you? You don't say that to your clients if you're a business person. I mean, where would I be if I was leading you ladies and saying, well, if you can't accept me at my worst, if you can't accept the worst advice I have for you, you don't deserve my best advice. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a business, and I wouldn't have a purpose, and I wouldn't have a calling. There is nothing else that we apply that mindset to except for relationships. Yet relationships are life. Yet relationships are foundational to our mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health. Yet we treat them with less respect than we do our job. No one is ever going to have the guts to say to your boss, who doesn't pay you enough, probably, I need you to accept me at my worst so that I can give you my best. You'll be fired. But we expect to meet somebody, present the worst, and then say, accept me. If you can't accept me when I'm rude, disrespectful, say what's on my mind. I need to be able to say what's on my mind. Like I've had comments saying, I'm not going to tiptoe around no man. If he can't get what's on my mind, I'm just going to tell him what's on my mind. Like, when am I ever going to be able to I'm not going to sift myself. I'm not going to vet myself. I'm not going to feel. But you do that for everybody else. You do it for the man at work. But this is the man that you want to share your body, your life, and procreate with, and create destiny, legacy, and purpose with. But the one at work who's taking your life and treating you and taking the best parts of you and not rewarding you accordingly, who won't be there till the very end, you don't talk to him like that. You don't talk to your pastor like that. And he's the guy that you see on Sundays and every other day. You don't go to your pastor and say that. But for some reason, and this goes for men as well, men do it to women. They're going to be charming to everybody else. Charming to everybody. Except for his woman. Okay? Because if she can't take the worst, we got to be done with this. Because we're black swans. I don't expect to change the world. But I do expect that anyone who identifies as a black swan would change this narrative in their head. We must always show up at our best. And being comfortable is where you show up at your worst. Comfortable means I am all that in a bag of chips, and therefore whatever I present, you got to take it. When we get comfortable, we overshare. We start to say too much. When we get comfortable, we don't mind our manners. When we get comfortable, we start to step over other people's boundaries. One thing about me is whether you're a friend, family, foe, colleague, client, I never get comfortable. Because I must always check in with myself and say to myself, am I presenting myself in the best possible light to this person? Because I don't take anyone for granted. I've learned not to. I used to. If a man picks up that you are just getting comfortable, you just open your mouth and say what's on your mind, he will keep it moving. And not without first getting what he came for. And by the way, they all come to get laid. But not all of them come just to get laid. They all come to get laid, but not all of them just want to get laid. Some want to get laid and find a wife. Some want to find a wife and get laid. Some want to be in a relationship and get laid. And some just want to get laid. Okay, but at the end of the day, if a man sees that you're so comfortable that you kind of talking to him like you're crazy, no worries, gracefully quiet. If he thinks this girl is so comfortable, and we do that. We go on a few dates. He shows us his interest. He lets us know that, you know, he's feeling us. And all of a sudden, we're like brand new. Okay. I want you as a black swan to be careful when you're too comfortable. Because that's when you're going to say too much, do too much, stay too long. That's when you're going to be on that phone for 3-4 hours saying stuff you got no business saying. Because let me tell you something about men, whether you like it or not, whether this is going to be comfortable for you to hear or not. And I've already discussed this in the Mastering Attraction Masterclass for those of you who want to go and find out. Men will judge you. Yes. When we finish having a conversation with a guy, what we go and do is fantasize, okay? Oh my God, I can just imagine myself getting married to this guy, and he's just so lovely. He's gonna be the father of my children. We're gonna get married. This is so lovely. Hello, darling. I will save it. I promise. We're gonna get married, right? That's us girls. Come on, put your hands up. If it's charming, you've married him, he's already walking down the aisle, right? When a man gets off that phone with you after 3-4 hours because you're doing too much, he's thinking he's going to play the whole conversation in his head. Okay? And then he's going to make some judgments about you. Okay? So this is how she is. This is how she thinks. This is what she's on. And men can disconnect very, very quickly emotionally because men don't come to connect emotionally. Men connect emotionally over time by accident because their hormones don't work like our hormones. Their attraction, their bonding hormone is not the same. They need to work, they need to put in effort in order for them to attach. We attach, our oxytocin starts to, go wild when we're talking to him. We're releasing oxytocin, we're bonding with him as we talk to him. He's not bonding with you, but you're so comfortable. He told you you're pretty, he told you you're beautiful. There's no woman like you. In fact, he's probably told you, I've been looking for my wife and now I've seen you, you're the wife, the W, the big W. So you get comfortable and you say too much, you do too much, you spend too long. And we're looking for that. It's almost like, Chengi, what's wrong with that? I mean, isn't that what we should be looking for? Well, if it's been working for you, keep doing it. Because the truth is, he's going to go judge you. And then he's going to lose interest. He's going to make a decision about your character. And then he's going to put you in a category. Because that's what they do. Do they walk around saying, well, I'm going to go and put women in a category? No, it's just the way men are wired. Because of how their intuition works. He will put you in a category. Whether those are 2 categories, 5 categories, 4 categories. There are a lot of categories that a man will put you in. But let's just simplify it and say 2 categories. Good time only, or maybe perhaps this one is for serious. It's a little bit more complex than that, but that's not what we're here to do. Okay, we're not here to have that conversation. We get so comfortable, we talk ourselves out of attraction. We talk ourselves out of attraction. We behave ourselves out of attraction. He looked at you, beautiful girl, elegant, well put together. He thinks, wow, okay, that's a lady. And she be swearing like a sailor, effing and blinding. The air is blue around you because you feel comfortable. You are at a party and you're in the middle of the dance floor and you're making love to every man in the room and he's with you because you're comfortable with him. I feel comfortable with him. I feel comfortable. Don't get comfortable. Wait. Raise attraction by being a lady. Raise attraction by being a mystery. Raise attraction by holding yourself together and showing some self-mastery. It's okay. In fact, it is prescribed to withhold access to certain parts of you until a man proves himself to be safe, to be consistent, and to be worthy. It is high value to withhold access to parts of you, parts of your story. Not everybody has the right to your backstory. Not everybody has to hear your backstory. Have they earned the right? Are you going to tell this person your backstory and regret it when they freaking ghost you? You don't know them. They're a perfect stranger. Don't ever let your attraction or their charm make you feel comfortable. Be uncomfortable. I need you uncomfortable. If you're going on that first date and you don't feel comfortable, that's a good place because guess what? You're going to be astute. You're going to be alert. And I want you to stay in that place for 3 months. I want you to stay in that place for 90 days where you are giving of yourself deliberately, intentionally, thoughtfully. In response to his ability to make you feel safe, secure, Protect it. Otherwise, you will lose attraction. And there we have it. The very point I was making earlier. I really feel you're missing the entire issue of attachment style. You can do everything perfectly. Some men have psychological blocks that make them afraid to love. My point exactly. My point exactly. What I was saying, it has occurred on this live. I shall move forward because I think the rest of us are with me, okay? So it's really important that we withhold until we understand the situation. Because being the expert that I am, I've never heard of attachment styles. Okay, so you'll have to forgive me. Right. Number 2. Another thing that some of us girls do that make men lose attraction is putting too much stock in our looks. This is a particular problem for very attractive women. All of you. When women are very attractive, they tend to think that their looks are the whole pie. The reason why more average looking women or women that are a little bit more average do better in relationships is simply because they understand that they're not going to get the easy ride. So they work on their character. They work on who they are. I will never tell you not to be the best groomed you will ever be. Be the best groomed you will ever be. Be the most beautiful version of yourself because you owe that to yourself. And it's a wonderful gift to give to the world and to the man that you may wish to be with. That's a wonderful gift to give him. But you've got to work on your character. It is insulting. It makes a man, and again, for those of you who are just joining, a high value, high status man, a man of worth, a man that we all want, a man that resonates with us. We're not talking about losers or men with trauma or men with avoidant or disorganized attachment styles on this particular call, darlings. We're talking about the man that you have qualified or are qualifying or who qualifies for you. So many of us feel we do not have to work on our character. So many of us feel like we don't have to work on who we are. You've got to work on that. Because physical attraction, that's handled by the way that you look. Emotional attraction, that's handled by the way you think and the way you feel about yourself and how you treat other people. Some of us are mean. We're mean. We're mean people. We're not kind. We haven't got a kind bone in our bodies and we feel entitled to behave any way we want because he's a man. And men are dogs and men are animals and none of them are any good. So I am going to treat him the way that I want to treat him because he has no feelings, he has no emotions. And we leak that darkness. The problem is when you have a mindset, it always leaks. When you have an opportunistic mindset, when you have a entitled mindset, when you have an unkind soul, it leaks no matter how much you try to cover it. And the thing about a man and his high intuition is he's going to pick that up. And if he was looking for a long-term relationship, he's going to pull away because you're not the one. But because so many men have a scarcity mindset, they'll hang on to you. That's when the string-along game will begin. Because you are not a good human. Your mindset does leak. Yes. People, we think we can hide our internals. We can't. I can't hide my internals from you. If you really look at me, if you look spiritually at me, you will be able to tell who I am regardless of how I present. You will know if Chengi's a bitch or whether Chengi's a really good, kind woman. You're going to know that no matter what I present. I'm both, by the way. Save you having to look. Right? So, we put too much stock in our looks. I'm pretty. That should be enough. You know, I've seen women say, oh, you know, being pretty used to be enough. It never was. I don't understand the question, but if you hold your question till the end and elaborate, then I'll be able to answer that question, okay? Thank you for asking respectfully. Yeah, so ladies, a man is going to lose interest in you, especially like some pretty girls like, but I'm so pretty, why did he pull away? Because a high quality man would rather be with an average looking woman who is kind, nurturing, sweet, effervescent, fun. Some of us are so moody. Some of us are grumpy. You know, I was talking to a member of my team today about a person who has been contacting my admin, and they're extremely grumpy. And a lot of people don't actually know that I know everything that happens in my business. Like, whilst there's a lot that happens in my business, I'm very on it. And a lot of people, you know, have one face with me and another face with my team, and it's all very interesting. And they don't realize that the other face, that's the face you are taking to your dates. And that's the face that's going to come out. We have to have integrity. How I am in private when no one's looking is how I am when people are looking. This is a high calling. I'm asking you to be a black swan. I'm not asking you to be just another woman. I'm asking you to be the rare creature that you are. I'm asking you to stand out. Yeah, I know, Esther. It's really bad. It's really bad. You have to, when you're taught to be mean to men, in order to, I don't know, raise attraction, it's going to work on toxic men, okay? It's going to work on broken men. It's going to work on insecure men. It's going to work on players. It's never going to work on a quality man. It's never going to work on a man with emotional intelligence. It's never going to work on a man who's put some work in himself. Never. Never. And we have to develop the right habits, treat people in light of who we are, and then walk away when they don't move respectfully with us. If I show up kindly, warmly, and generously, and you think, oh, Chengi's a fool, she's weak, she's stupid, I'm going to take everything from her, I am wise enough to know that you are an unsafe person, and I'm going to keep it moving. That's how a high value woman walks and moves on the earth. She doesn't present her ugly self, and then when the person accepts the ugly, jumps over the hoops of the ugly, because guess what? To keep you, I'm going to have to stay ugly. I'm never going to be able to show my authentic self. So come as a good, kind woman with obviously boundaries and standards. We'll talk about that later. And see how he handles that. Does he take that for granted? Does he play you for a fool? Does he keep taking because you're generous and kind? That's data. Right? So if you want to go be mean to men, I promise you that's going to work on men that are broken with horrible attachment styles and trauma. They respond to that. In the same way as some of these player games and all this nonsense works on broken women. You know, players work on broken women. If you're a healthy woman and a man starts to play game, your attraction for him just disappears. Third one is oversharing. Now, this is the piece, I think I've touched on it a little bit in some of the other points. Again, sometimes we share too much. And men do it too. I have a client right now who is dating a guy who just overshares. Like, I'm like, dude, stop. It feels crowding. It's overwhelming. It's flooding to the nervous system, because to overshare, sharing, we all understand sharing must come with trust. Trust is something that is built over time. If I come to you and overshare and share too much, and you haven't built trust with me, because men think in terms of earning. The masculine mind is not the same as the feminine mind. The feminine is the receiver. The masculine is the giver. So the masculine has to work hard for everything he gets. Nothing comes easy to him. Nothing is given to him for free. Nothing comes for free. So when you give a man something he hasn't earned, it lowers his attraction for you. Let him earn the right to your backstory. Then he feels he's accomplished something. Oh, I must have been really good at making her feel safe. My consistency is really helping her feel safe. My communication style and the way that I treat her is making her feel safe. So this time she was able to share a little bit more because of what I did. But if I've met you, I haven't done anything. I've just taken you out to dinner. I've just, thrown a few experiences at you. And all of a sudden you're like, and then what happened was that, my ex-husband beat me or whatever. That's trauma dumping. And nobody wants to feel like a bin. No one wants to feel like, are you here because you're trying to get somebody to fix what the other person broke? Or are you here because you're looking for therapy? Because that's not sexy. Remember? Attraction. Attraction, data. Attraction, data. Attraction, data. Okay, we need to have enough attraction. Raise attraction in order to release data. And if you're oversharing is reducing attraction. Oh gosh, this woman is so messed up. I don't want to pick up that slack. Oh, she went through all that. Oh, good Lord, no, God. Attraction. Emotional attraction. He might still want to shag you. He might still want to sleep with you. But his attraction is like, ooh, I don't think so. Okay? And then he disappears. Starts to ghost. You start to become a situationship. Then, of course, we've got the chasing. This is obvious information. But the problem is so many of us don't know that we're chasing. We don't realize that we're chasing, energetically chasing. We're thinking about him all the time. We are waiting for his text. We are talking about him all the time. We're in his socials. We're just obsessed with him. That's chasing. That's your energy leaving your body and going towards him. This lowers attraction. A feminine woman has to keep all her good stuff within herself, because what you invest in yourself shows up in the fruit of your effervescence, of your joy, and makes you magnetic, which is what the feminine is. The feminine is magnetic. So when you have the energy where you are constantly thinking about him, constantly go, what is he doing? How come he hasn't texted me? What's going on? You are putting out energy in your masculine. You're not bringing in that energy. Take that energy and take care of yourself. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a practice. What haven't I done today? What can I do to make myself feel good about myself? How can I meet that need to be seen in this moment? How can I leverage this feeling so that I feel good and in my body in this moment? Because when you start to chase, you take away the challenge, and the masculine needs a challenge, and the challenge makes his vasopressin go high, his bonding hormone go high. The fact that, he has to come for you, and you're receptive, but he still has to come for you. This is the sense of achievement is what raises attraction for the masculine. But if you're chasing him, hey, I haven't heard from you. Hey, what's going on? Hey, even if you're not sending those texts, even if you're not making those calls, energetically you were just obsessed. She's into me, and I didn't even have to do anything. Boring. I'm out. Okay. Next one. I think we're number 5. Controlling. Be very careful. It's a very, very simple thing to do. I was talking to a client of mine the other day, and as you know, if you're a black swan, when we arrange dates with men, we always make sure that they let us know 24 to 48 hours before to confirm. Otherwise, we're going to assume the date has been cancelled and there's been a change of plans. And this particular swan forgot to that protocol. And it was, I need to let that person know my role. At this point, we're controlling the dynamic. What we have to do is actually, at this point, this is the Black Swan protocol, but I didn't do it. So let's see what he does without prompting. Let's see how he moves without prompting. These are small things, but they manifest as big things. Okay. When we move with this kind of, I need this on my time, in my way, this way, we miss the opportunity to actually see who this person is. Because sometimes we're crying over somebody we should have let go a long time ago. We just weren't paying attention because we're not trying to collect that data. But when we start to control, where are we going? When are we going to go there? When are you going to ask me out? When will we get off this call? What are we going to do? All of these things, they may seem simple. You never do this. You never do that. Every time I ask you, this never happens, okay? Moaning, bitching, complaining. These are all control protocols. Now, we know that the Black Swan way is way more sophisticated than that. We know how to get out of our people, out of our partners, what we need without any of these 3. Okay, we know how to communicate with love, and we know how to use our high value strategies. Again, of course, you can get in the masterclass. But controlling behavior is huge and massive amongst women because we have become masculine. Okay, good. We have become masculine. We want to control. We want to control. Why? Because we don't feel safe. When the feminine does not feel safe, she leans into the masculine to protect her. The masculine is always going to be controlling. It is the nature of the masculine. Right? She starts to control. Why then some men complain that they don't like difficult women who think they're untouchable? PD, in reality, she just sets boundaries and the bare minimum, nothing unrealistic. Look, I think that a truly feminine woman sets boundaries in such a way that is effective, but non-confrontational. And I've got to be honest, 97% of women don't know how to set boundaries in a feminine way. And I'm not going to go into it because I've already done so many lives on it, and there's a whole masterclass on it. Feminine mastery, there's high value strategies, dark feminine energy. Setting boundaries with men is an art. It's a skill. And if we don't do it right, we're going to do it in our masculine. If we do it in our masculine, we're going to get into competition. If we're going to get into competition, we're going to reduce attraction, because it is not the complement to the masculine. The masculine is competitive, controlling, and conquering. If you don't set boundaries in a feminine way that complements the nature of the masculine, he's going to get into competition. Why? Because when men deal with each other, and there's a dispute, they're going to compete. Men are going to compete against each other. That's just how it is in the man's world. Men compete. Now, if you're going to talk to him like you're a guy, he's going to compete. And when he doesn't compete, you don't trigger his protection. Okay? When you speak to a man from your feminine and you know how to talk to men so they listen, another masterclass that I've done to speak to men, so much content and help for you in the academy. If I don't address and act and behave in a feminine way when I'm setting boundaries, which are important to me, I'm going to trigger competition. I'm going to trigger conquering. And then I'm going to miss out on the opportunity to trigger his protective instinct. Because the masculine is also protective. He's very cherishing. That's why he provides. So if you're a feminine woman, you're always wanting to trigger the protector. Now he has to protect you from himself. Because you've shown yourself to be vulnerable, you communicate vulnerably. And the modern woman has been taught not to be vulnerable. And we think vulnerability is wearing our heart on our sleeve and oversharing and manipulating and crying. Vulnerability is being strong, so strong in your mind, in your identity, in your divine nature, that it's okay to open your heart and let it be known that certain behavior is hurtful. You're not a robot. You're not a man. You get hurt when that behavior happens. You need reassurance. Okay? Sometimes we don't have to be women of steel. I don't believe in that. When you're around a man, you have to let him know, especially if it's a masculine man, that you have a standard about yourself. That there's a way that you want to be treated. There's a way that you will only ever feel safe. There's a way that you will only ever feel comfortable around him. And there's a way that you communicate that. So I get when men say they don't want to deal with difficult women, because some of us think we're setting boundaries, but we're just being confrontational, we're being aggressive, we're in our masculine, and we're just creating dynamics that just create competition. Now, if you're doing everything the Black Swan way, and you are being feminine, and you are communicating in a high value way, and you are using high value strategies, and you are using your dark feminine energy, and you are moving in the way that is honoring to your feminine nature and honoring to him and to God, and you're doing everything right, and he still says that, then you're dealing with an immature man, or a feminine energy man, or a toxic man, or a narcissistic man, or a sociopathic man. I mean, it gets darker, right? So if we're doing everything right and we're still getting that response, then we can absolutely put our hand up and say, okay, this guy is for the darkness. We're going to leave this guy in the dark, where he belongs, with Lucifer's people, But if we're doing everything right and we are using the high value protocols that I teach, most men will melt. Most men will lay down their sword and be more protective. I give this example. I had, when I first got to the US, I met a different audience. And this guy came at me, and he came at me hard. And I just decided, I'm going to be feminine, because I can also be masculine and fight about it. But, I'm going to be feminine. And I said to him that was really hurtful, that you would say that to a woman like me that you don't know, And I got an instant apology like literally the moment he read it, he was so sorry. I'm so sorry. You're a queen. Da da da. I mean, I was being loved on, and I've used it so many times on trolls. You know, just so that I can prove to myself and everybody else that femininity can work even on the most horrible human. You know, well, some are beyond redemption. Let's just be honest. But for most guys, if you show vulnerability, all I did in that moment was just say, look, I think you commented on my hair, my wig, or something or the other. And I said to him, that's hurtful. He didn't expect that. He expected me to fight with him and say, well, no, right? But I was vulnerable in that moment in a way that isn't wearing my heart on my sleeve and crying about it and calling him names. It's just simple feminine communication. This is how my heart feels about what you've said. And if he has any masculinity in him whatsoever, he's going to want to protect that heart, because men are hardwired to protect vulnerability, the vulnerable, children, the world, the planet, animals. They're built hardwired for it. So if you show vulnerability, you're going to get protection. If you show you can fight, you're going to get war. And let's face it, girls, we don't have the testosterone to go head to head with men. We don't. They can fight. They're built to fight. They can fight, and they can fight mercilessly and ruthlessly. And your feelings going to get hurt because they have a different psychology, biology. They can fight. They're built for war. So don't ever deceive yourself into thinking you can take a man on. Unless you know you can pack a punch. Because when men conflict and things are not resolved the way they should in a timely fashion, people are going to start throwing hands. Things get physical with men very, very quickly. That's why men move with respect for one another. That's why men have a code of respect, because men know things can get violent very, very quickly. This is the code that is meant. So you're behind, who lives in, fairyland where we're worried about what our hair looks like, and we pretty much live in a whole different world as women, want to take on a man and fight and go to war with him. You're honestly going to lose that battle, or you're going to come up with very, very hurt feelings. I'm going to come back to these questions because I just want to finish this, and then we'll come back to the questions that I do want to answer your questions. The next thing is dropping your standards. I know sometimes when we really like a guy, we're like, listen, I really like him, and he's already proven that he likes me, and he's already shown me that he likes me, and he's already making such an effort, and he's already like doing all of that good stuff, and I just really... do I really have to hold on to that standard? Do I really have to make him take me on another date? Do I really have to make him fly and see me again? Do I really have to do that? I mean, can't I just fly to him? When we do that, we take away from him what he needs to fall for you. When you make it easier for him, when you lower the bar, you think you're doing him a favor, but you're working against his biology and psychology. And yes, men will complain about it. You women, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is, they're choosing the woman, and they're staying connected and pursuing the woman that has these standards that are really high, and they're jumping over those hoops. They are. And a man is always going to test your standards, because guess what? They're hardwired to get things as quickly and as cheaply as possible. The way they're wired is to get resources as quickly, cheaply as possible. And women are a resource to men. So he's always going to press for the most convenient and cheapest way to access you and or your body. And because we're emotional beings, He's going to tap that emotional well. And if you haven't healed your wounds, if you are anxiously attached, if you have that wound where abandonment, if you have an abandonment trauma or neglect trauma or rejection trauma, and that usually feeds into that anxious attachment style, what you're going to do is you're going to, emotionally feel like you have to lower your standards because he might leave, he might abandon. And a lot of men will do this because they want to see your caliber. And I was talking to a client, and when you look at her, she's top-notch, high caliber woman, smart, beautiful, all things black swan. And she lowered her sexual standards with the man, and he ghosted her. And she was like, but we're getting on, blah, 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 the usual. She didn't understand. And I said, the truth is you disappointed him. Because when I look at you and I speak to you and I feel the essence of your being, you're a very high quality woman. And he was expecting more of a job. He was expecting more of a challenge. And you made it so easy that it actually reduces attraction. Because however we behave with a guy, he believes we do that with every guy. If you sleep with a guy on the first night, he thinks you sleep with guys on the first night. You may have made an exception for him today in this moment because of the connection you feel you have, but he has made a judgment that this is what she does. And if he was looking for anything worthwhile, you're not going to be the one. He's going to put you on rotation. Then the games begin. Okay. And this doesn't have to be about sex, because it happens to women that don't sleep with men on the first date or even sleep with them at all. It's about what standard did you reduce? What level of this is how I want to be treated did you change your mind about? Because he would have put in the work, but he's going to test you. So when we're talking about what are your standards, what are your boundaries, these have to do with attraction as much as they have to do with your personal protection. Because it is more attractive for a woman who has high standards. For a man, it's a challenge. This is the standard he has to meet. Make sense? I hope it does. Exactly. I hope it does. I hope it makes sense. I'm glad it does. Okay. And last but absolutely not least, this is for my anxious girls who are used to... I'm trying to find the questions. To my anxious girls who are used to attaching quickly. So many of us are so used to attaching quickly that we just want love so bad. We just want commitment so bad. We just want to be accepted and accepted so badly that what we do is we attach quickly. And this is something that a lot of us do who are marriage ready. We're ready to get married. We want to get married. We want to, we're at that stage in our lives. We want to have a family. We want to secure this next stage of our lives. And then what we do is we start to be more committed to the marriage and the goal that we have for the relationship. And we leave the other goal, which is and was and always will be to get to know him, to give ourselves an opportunity to get to know him. And when a man feels that this girl is more committed, like she wants to get married so badly that it doesn't actually matter if it's me who marries her. She's not actually interested in who is waiting on the other side of the aisle, as long as she gets her goals met. If a man picks up that that's where you are and that's how you feel, and so many of us do that, and I can guarantee you, guys will tell you, this girl didn't really care who I was, she just cared that I was the one giving her the experience she wanted. or who could give her the experience she wanted. And so many men are aware of that. And let me tell you something. In fact, I'm not going to tell it to you now. I'm going to tell it to you at the masterclass on Saturday about that very piece, why it's so important to men. A man's deepest, darkest desire is to be loved for who he is in a world that values him for what he does and what he gives. Right, that's where I'm going to end that. So let's get those questions in. I'm going to try and go back to one of the questions. Okay. The question I've got here is what would you say about a guy who is great when together, but when apart, he does 180, he ghosts. but when present, he's meeting family, etc. Duplicity and double standards is always the first sign of game. That is incredible data. It's incredible data. If a man is being duplicitous, that's game. And I would book a complimentary call and have a conversation because I'd want to really get to the bottom of that pattern. But I wouldn't, that's game. That's game. That's not a man who is intentional. And also that's a guy with another woman on the scene. What do we have? Would you say that when masculine men like a girl, they push her away more because masculine men priority is not love? No. When a masculine man likes a girl, he's going to pursue her even more harder. What you're talking about there really is a man with either a disorganized attachment style, which means closeness is painful, so pulling away is natural. So he's not comfortable with closeness, but then when he pulls away, he's not comfortable with being away. So this is what we call, I think, fearful avoidance or a disorganized attachment style. So when you see a man doing that, the closer you get, he pulls away, and then when he's away, he misses you. That's a man with a disorganized attachment style, and he needs to do some work on himself. That is not masculine behavior. Masculine behavior is to conquer. Even though the masculine is not trying to fall in love, he comes from love. The masculine is love. That comes from the principle of love. So everything the masculine does is from love, not to necessarily fall in love. I hope that makes sense. So just because he's not trying to fall in love doesn't mean that he doesn't want to conquer. Make sense? I feel like men don't like us being vulnerable. Again, it's the same thing. What is vulnerability for you? Number one. Number two, masculine men need vulnerability from women to feel that the investment to keep them safe and sound is working. So a lot of us girls honestly don't know what the masculine is. We don't. Because these questions and these statements, and this is not, you're not in trouble, okay? But these questions and these statements are telling me that you have no understanding of the masculine. A lot of what you think is masculine are men with a machismo, or rough and gruff, or street, or God, there's charisma. There's nothing to do with masculinity. An actual masculine man is very gentle with a woman. That's when he's in his masculine. A masculine man is pursuing, is cherishing, is providing, is giving. It's such a beautiful, gentle restraining of aggression. A masculine man is a truly loving man, and a lot of masculine men can come through as introverts, can come through as sigmas, even betas. A lot of masculine men are calm and they're chill, and they know their priorities, they're very clear. So a lot of what has been presented to us in Hollywood, in movies, and on the streets, and you know, in the music industry, this avatar is not actually masculine. A masculine man, you might look at him. I had a client who showed me some pictures, because I'm one of these people that I can read a person by looking at their pictures. And she showed me this picture, and I was like, okay, interesting. Because I was getting not heterosexual. I didn't know what it was, but I was getting not heterosexual. We worked out that he's a metrosexual. So I wasn't off, but I knew he is heterosexual, but he's metrosexual. Okay, metrosexual is men who are a little bit more feminine in their appearance, in the way that they move in the world. But actually, you will be surprised how masculine he is, because he's very cherishing, he's very focused, he's very structured, he's very loving. So he actually is masculine, right? But on the surface, you wouldn't be able to tell. And what happens, and this is true for both men and women, the men that look really masculine, big muscles, many of them, not all of them, but many of them are in feminine energy. Many of them are in feminine energy. And the men that have a bit of a belly, you know, who are not always in shape, who don't have a six-pack, who are a little bit, maybe a bit weedy, a bit skinny, many of them are in masculine energy. So, and vice versa, women who are glam and pretty, nails, tend to be in masculine energy most of the time. Why? Because the subconscious mind is always looking to create balance, right? So if internally you sit as a woman very much in your masculine, your subconscious is going to seek that balance by how you groom yourself, how you look, how you move. So externally you will look very feminine, but internally you'll be very masculine. And I used to be that girl, super glam, super feminine. I am very externally feminine, but it took me a long time to realize that I was a boy inside, I was a man inside, right? I was operating very much from my masculine. So let's kind of be smart with that, because there is no masculine man who doesn't like a woman being vulnerable. It actually gives him purpose. It actually gives him a sense of usefulness. He wants to protect that woman. He wants to cherish that woman because she needs him and his protection and his covering over her. A woman that's not vulnerable is going to attract feminine men who want to be vulnerable with her, who want her protection, who want her provision, who want her strength, right? So this is important. And that's why you've got to be on the masterclass this weekend. And we also have to be clear that there's a difference between feminine men, masculine, immature men, broken men, traumatized men, all kinds of types of men. But please bear in mind that when I'm talking to you about men here on this platform, I am talking to you about mature masculine men. I feel it's almost feminine instinct to connect quickly. No. It's feminine to find connection easier, for sure. Connecting quickly, that's about your trauma. What is natural is to protect yourself, especially as a woman. If you're in your feminine, you are going to be conscious of your safety and security more than anything else. Remember, the feminine protects the sacred, co-creation vehicle, okay? So what is more natural to the feminine is to first establish security, safety, and comfort before connection. But when we are in our trauma, when we're in our wounded energy, when we're in our masculine energy, we're going to want to connect very quickly because we have issues to do with rejection and abandonment, right? So connecting quickly is not feminine. The feminine must be wooed. This is why you will hear the older people say, the man must love the woman more than the woman loves the man. Whilst this is not absolutely 100% true, it's really just a miscommunication of saying a woman is truly safe, secure, and comfortable when she allows herself to be wooed into a relationship with a man through the demonstration of his character, through the demonstration of his prowess, through the demonstration of his goodness, through the demonstration of his standards as a man. Does that make sense? She's safer, better in a relationship dynamic where a man had to prove that he can secure her, provide for her, all of these things. For multiple reasons, because men are not relational by nature. They're not built to be relational because their mandate, if a man is going to be relational, he cannot protect to the degree that he needs to protect. Because to protect that which he values, it may come to blows. It may come to people losing their lives, things losing their lives, things being destroyed. When our militaries protect our borders, they have to switch off a part of who they are. They have to engage in a part of their brain, a part of their wiring, to not see that attack, that vehicle, that person as a person and try and create a relationship. Because that person might be very dangerous to our borders, to our safety, to our security. So we have to understand that the protocol, the male mind, the male energy, the male spirit is very different from the woman because he has a different mandate. He has a different assignment from us. We co-create with God. He protects all that is sacred and provides for all that is sacred, right? So he needs to, for him to come from that space into connection, he needs to love what he's trying to connect to, okay? We don't have to love what we're trying to connect to because we're built for connection. We're built to embrace, we're relational. The feminine is relational, so we don't even have to love him to treat him right. We don't have to love a man to nurture him. We don't have to love a thing to do it well, because we relate to things. We relate. Okay, so it's really important that as a woman, you are in your feminine where you lean back and allow the man to prove his value and his worth to you. And then fall in love with what he is to you, what he does for you, how he protects you, how he keeps you safe emotionally, mentally, spiritually. As you fall in love, that is the healthiest way for a feminine woman to fall in love, not the other way around. What are some examples of questions we can ask to get to know him? There is a product on my website called 50 Questions Every High Value Woman Needs Answered. And yes, gentlemen, there's 50 questions that every high value man needs answered as well. I would go and get those. But the reason I'm saying those questions is there are questions that we can ask to get to know facts about a person, and then questions we can ask to get insight into a person. And if you go and get the 50 questions that every high value woman needs answered, I would like you to answer them, because that's going to build a lot of self-awareness for you. But I want to answer your question by not necessarily giving you a direct answer, because the answer that you want is not going to be helpful. One question, whatever. The feminine reads the masculine with her body. You can know a man by how he makes you feel. And honestly, that is the most crucial data. How he grew up, his mother, who's his favorite siblings, all of these things that would become 50 questions. They just really to either back up what your intuition and your instinct has already told you, or to kind of bring clarity to it. But a feminine woman leads, she navigates the world from her heart. Our hearts know the truth, always. Our minds can tell us a whole bunch of stories. So, to know a man, you must know yourself. To know a man, you must be tuned into yourself. Because the intent of a man, the value, the quality of a man is felt within the feminine's body. What's a man's deepest, darkest desire? What is a man's deepest, darkest desire? You're going to have to come to the masterclass and ask me that question. And I kind of mentioned it. I don't know about the darkest. You know, it's really interesting. I have a video with Kit where he talks about the dark wolf. If you go to my YouTube channel and you look up Kit, my interview with Kit on my podcast, he talks about the dark wolf in a man. Every man has his own dark desire. And that's a beautiful question to ask a guy, right? Why don't you ask him? Whether you'll get the truth or not is another question. But it is a very good question to ask. And some questions are not to be asked early. Some questions are 60 days in, when we've both established enough attraction and enough safety, and created a space within the dynamic where vulnerability and honesty is safe. It's another thing that I'm not going to go into. But as women, we don't tend to get the truth from men because we lead with our emotions and we get emotional. Okay, and I do that too, which then stops men from being honest with us. So I have a lot of candid conversations with men, and men are very, 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 very honest with me. All my life, men were my friends growing up in school. You know, girls didn't want to be my friend, but boys wanted to be my friend. And so I learned very early on that if you're going to get truth and honesty from a man, you have to not be reactional. You can't be reactional to the little things that he tells you, because he's always going to test your ability to take the truth by little things. He'll nudge you with a little thing, shock you a little bit. And if you're like, oh my God, I would never, like, I don't tolerate that from it, you will never get the truth out of a man. You have to receive everything a man tells you with calmness, which is why the feminine is receptive. You have to learn how to be receptive. Some of us don't know how to receive. We think it's about, okay, put stuff in my hand. Of course I know how to receive. Give me stuff. Of course I know how to receive. But receptivity has to do with so much more. It's so much broader. How do I take in information that a man gives me, whether it's a joke and passing it, how do I receive it? Because to the extent that I'm able to receive it, to the extent that I'm able to meet what may be shocking, possibly even inappropriate, possibly, to the extent that I'm able to do that is to the extent that he feels safe to share his deepest, darkest truths. And that's built over time. Men don't feel safe around women because we're very emotional, and we will either throw it back in their face or we'll judge them or whatever. So they've kind of got used to giving us half-truths or kind of scheming over some of our questions and giving us what they think we want to hear. Because if he does like you, or if he does want sexual access, he's not going to ruin his chances by telling you the truth. So you have to prove over time that you don't punish, overreact, get emotional about things that don't sit well with you. And that's hard. I got love bombed. He didn't ghost me, but we weren't talking as much. Once we started getting back into the rhythm, I just broke up with him. I wasn't happy. Now I miss him. Should I reach out? Okay, I thank you for asking this question, because I think so many of us can learn so much from this. We have a toxic pattern already established. Love bombing, ghosting, coming back together, breaking up with him. This pattern, this dynamic has nothing good in it. Unless you actually make that complimentary call and you can talk to a coach and we get to the bottom of it and help you to set a new dynamic. No. Should you reach out? No, because the feminine does not chase the masculine. If he does not want you enough to pursue you, you will always be at the begging end of that dynamic. So no. Okay? And we need to deal with some of your issues, because already I'm picking up some low self-worth stuff here. I'm picking up some anxiety. I'm picking up some scarcity mindset. There's some stories that we need to look at, some subconscious stories that we need to look at, that even make it possible for you to not have already blocked and deleted him as you should. What work to do to attract men my age? I tend to attract older men. I've been married and I've done heart work, therapy, reflection. What is your age? You know, the men we attract, the men we attract, those are the only men we get to choose from. So if you're attracting older men, then we have to perhaps look at a few things. Some core beliefs about yourself. So maybe some more internal work that is not, well, it's not therapy, more like coaching. We want to see what are some of your core beliefs about yourself, because you are sending out an energy signature and an energy frequency that resonates with older men. I send out energy frequencies and signatures that resonate with younger men, which gets on my nerves, because I'd rather be with a man my age, right? But recently, because I've been doing some work, I am meeting men who are more in and around my age, still younger, but not as young as before, okay? Because I'm so very youthful and I have this aura and this energy signature that I have. So if you want to change that, there's internal change that needs to be done. But it might also simply be the way you present, the way you groom. And that's one of the things as well with me, is I don't dress my age, because I don't really know what my age should dress like. I dress for my body shape and the way that I feel, which can be quite young. So it made sense, because if you see me walking up the street dressed the way that I'm dressed, you're going to think we're similar age, right? Most men think, the younger men think I'm the age, right? But I can dress different to attract a different sort of guy. So if I want older, then I know how I have to dress. So it may very well have to do with your style. So if you want men more your age, maybe we need to look at your style. So this is where you need to book a style consultation with Coach Unique. Okay, you can get that on the website. But I would probably think either if you feel you've done a lot of work on yourself, I would definitely do maybe perhaps a style session, because it might just be that you're not signaling the right men with your style, because your style is your signal. Make sense? Hopefully that helps. Oh God, I am actually getting really tired. I love this question, but let me see if I've got any more. I am always happy to answer questions, but I'm learning to take care of myself. Yeah. I'm 43 and attaching younger men in 30 that are emotionally unavailable and non-committal. Yeah, okay, so I think I sort of inadvertently answered that question. You're welcome. Shantae. And this started after my self-healing journey. Self-healing, healing journeys are like cleaning out a house. Sometimes when you are doing a spring clean, the house looks really super uber messy, okay? And then it's after a while when you've been cleaning and eventually after a few days, everything's put away to make sense again. When we do self-healing, we have to open up wounds. When we're healing, whether we're doing it through a coach, by ourselves, with a therapist, we're opening up wounds that have been pussy and gushy for a very, very long time. So everything that we do emotionally and mentally is an energy frequency. Okay, so I want you to do the Energy Mastery Masterclass where I talk about this. So anytime there's an emotional shift or mental shift, we shift our energy. And our energy is a vibrational frequency that we send out into the world. If you don't want that language because you're spiritual or you're Christian, I'm going to say everything that you think and do, be thou transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation and renewing of the mind, the way we think, brings transformation, which means we're sending out a different spiritual message to the world. So whenever we're going through a healing journey, we are unlocking a lot of pain and a lot of uncertainty, and we're feeling sore and we're feeling uncertain and we feel vulnerable. And this is why when you work with us on our soulmate attraction system course journey, I don't allow anybody to date until they've reached at least module 4 or module or finished, because we are opening up too many things, we're unraveling too much, and you're going to be sending out different frequencies. So what I would say is allow what's coming to you to inform you of where you are on your journey, not necessarily to inform you of what you're worthy of or what you should accept or what you should take, but let what's coming at you be a reflection of where you are. So if these people are non-committal and they're young, then there's that part that you're still working on, that you're working on those childhood wounds, you're working on those inner pains, you're opening up that wound, and you're not ready to commit yourself. So it's just mirrors coming at you. So don't look at it and say, okay, well, these are the types of men I can get. But if you are in this journey, this is reflecting to you, this is where I am. So let me keep working and working and working until I get to a point where I am actually dealing with desirable men and I am attracting desirable men. Make sense? I hope that helps. Iyanla's Van Zat, I can never say her name properly, please forgive me, God. Book, in the meantime, is very useful and talks about the levels of cleaning a house, comparing it to your healing journey. I love that. Please go get that book. I've never read it, but I do like Iyanla. Just want to give you your flowers. This live was really good. You explained things so well. I never thought I would need coaching. I suck at all this dating stuff. Shake my head. I only do well with weak men. I appreciate you and I cherish you, and I am so grateful, and I receive it right here in my heart where it belongs. I appreciate you for saying that. Thank you. And I am here for you. Why is it I don't feel comfortable asking men for money even when they ask me to? Because you have a value system and a belief system, and You just need to get to what that is. I don't ask men for money, never have and never will, for 2 reasons. My father raised me would say, the only man who must give you money is your father. Okay, and he used to teach us that because he had 6 girls, and raising them in a predatory world of men, and he didn't want us to become sugar babies, or he didn't want us to. He raised us to be ladies, and so he would say, if you ever need anything, you come to your father. I am your dad, and I will provide for you, and it is my job. Never go to a man, never go to a boyfriend to ask for money. The only person who should give you money is your father and your husband. And so I hold that core belief, not because it is right or the perfect core belief, but it is one that my father taught me. And I hold it dear. My dear late father taught me, and I hold his lessons very dear because he was trying to prevent me from being exploited. Okay. That doesn't mean, and I dated I date men with a lot of money. I date men who want to give me money. I think my first ever boyfriend just kept giving me money, and I felt really awkward around it, but I have never asked a man for money, never will I. However, because I'm a high status woman, and I tend to attract high caliber, high status men, they're naturally very generous. And so it took me a while I don't actually take money from men. But if it's a gift or an experience, I'm gracious and allow them to be what they need to be for me, so that I can see them different and be drawn to them. They are naturally generous. So again, I've never had to. I personally take pride in being able to, take care of myself to the standard that I can and do. And I've always been that girl. I've always been the woman who would rather work 3 jobs and take care of myself than look to a man to do it. That doesn't say it's right, but I understand myself. And understanding ourselves is very, very important, because then we don't betray ourselves. And then we get to change the parts of ourselves that we don't like. So if you don't like the fact that you're that way, you need to get to the core belief. Where did that come from? Does it serve you? Is it serving you? Because if you are in a particular culture where men give women money, okay, and when I say particular culture, I don't necessarily mean nation. Even in one nation, there can be so many cultures. And I appreciate that there are cultures where women like to get cash. They like a man putting cash in their hands, and they feel loved by that. And that is never going to be a judgment from me if that's what works for you. And if that man, if him giving cash to you is a genuine display of his love for you, then, and you don't accept it, then he's going to experience that as a rejection of who he is and as a rejection of his love, in which case you're either incompatible, or maybe perhaps you need to address why you can't receive. So, in a case where a man that I was interested in, or, qualified as worthy, wanted to give me cash, and I felt that it meant more to him to give it to me than for me to take it, I would take it as a sign of me being receptive to how he loves me. Okay. But in general, I don't, that's how I live. So we all should have our own personal code. I don't think there's anything wrong with you. But if it's bothering you, perhaps do some digging. Maybe perhaps find the genesis of it. Maybe it doesn't come from a noble place. Maybe there's some trauma around it. Maybe somebody gave you something. Maybe somebody gave you cash when you were young, or money, and then exploited you or burdened you as a result. So if it's bothering you, I would do a lot more introspection. I would, really look at the genesis and the conscious beliefs in that. For me, it doesn't bother me. It's how I feel proud to be the woman that I am. Thank you, Madam Kelsey. I love you too. I'm so grateful for you. Where I come from in Zimbabwe, in Africa, we have a thing we call Ubuntu. I am because you are. Mama Swan is Mama Swan because you exist. I am who I am because you are who you are. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And I appreciate your investment. Because when you listen and take heed and grow and give me testimonials and get married and have beautiful relationships, what I get in return is the fulfillment of purpose. What I get in return is something money can't buy. So you validate my existence on the planet. So I really appreciate you. Hi Chengi, how do you get on a guy's radar whom I haven't spoken to since college? Only way we connect is via social media, and he's not active on social media either. I like that question. You need to learn how to signal. But if it's somebody that you know, I don't think you should feel shy to reach out. If it's somebody that you know from college, I don't see any reason not to reach out and just say, hey, how are you doing? I haven't seen you since college, blah, blah, blah. I don't think, obviously you would do this in a platonic way, in a kind of, we know each other, how are you, right? And open that line of conversation. I don't think you have to be coy with somebody that you already know. And just not kind of commit to the outcome, because he could be with a partner, he could be married, he could be committed elsewhere. So I would definitely more of a casual, platonic, curious approach, and not put too much stock in the outcome, right? Just, that's what's up. And when he does get onto social media, he'll see it. And if he's interested and your pictures are looking cute, okay, if he goes to your profile and you're looking cute and you've got beautiful pictures, good lighting, and you're looking happy, and he's single, why not? But you want to check your Instagram to make sure that it's on point. Okay, some of our Instagrams are a bit dusty, girls. All right, I'm not saying yours is, I haven't been to yours, but make sure it's not dusty. Asked another way, how do you know whether you're on a guy's radar, especially if you don't live in the same state? Well, you're never going to know. You're never going to know until he makes the approach. Then you will know you're on his radar, right? Good Lord, I don't know whose radar I'm on. Until they actually make the intentions known, I don't actually know that I'm on your radar, right? I think the only thing you can be is your most high value self, present yourself well and represent yourself well. And if, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, it's a young lady called Tony Tone. She's here on the internet, and her partner, and he was watching her on Instagram for 2 years and never made a move. So, she had no idea who was on her radar, right? So that's life. You can't know who's on your radar until that person presents themselves and makes their interests known. And then that's how you know. And I know when you got a crush on somebody, you want to be on their radar, but you can't force that. Hey girl, pretty hearts. How do you deal with a man with a female bestie? Some pre-existing relationships have to be really, you have to figure out what you can and cannot work with. I personally don't date men with female besties. I don't do that. I don't have male besties. I have male friends that I love dearly. I have one male friend who's very close to me. We've known each other since I was 18. And yes, he would totally sleep with me if I said I would sleep with him. And we've had that conversation 1,000 times. But it's just not like that for me. For me, he's my younger brother. And he doesn't like it. He hates it. And for that reason, I don't have male besties. And I don't date men with female besties. I feel that doesn't work for me personally. So I will date a man with pre-existing female friends, but the code I have with the men in my life is when I'm dating, they take a step back. So where we might catch up maybe once a week or every 2 weeks, though the men in my life know to not catch up with me, will probably speak, once every 3 or 2 months just to check in on me. And I'm very respectful of their relationship as well. When they're dating somebody, I fall off grid. And it's just something we've done for years and decades, because we really understand what my presence in my guy friend's life would mean to the other woman, even though I have zero interest in him sexually, right? I know what that would mean. And I'm just for me, it's about maturity. It's about bandwidth. It's about understanding. I love clean lines. I believe in clean lines. I don't like blurry. If I won't date a man who does not have clean lines. I need to see your lines. So I personally don't date those men. But should you choose to date somebody like that, you have to accept everything that comes with them, because that is love. Love is complete and total acceptance. So you got to choose what you love and who you love. That's where your power is, in your choices. And so if a man has a female bestie, and that friendship is forged in whatever, and it's managed to last, and it's vital and very important to him that he has his female bestie, and you want to be with him, I would accept her as a part of you, as a part of the dynamic. Or not date him. That is interesting. So in this instance, what are you receiving if not provision? I think that it's sad that as women we believe that provision comes in the form of cash. A man can provide a home, a house. He can provide transportation. He can provide safety and security and resources. And as a husband, he can give me all. In fact, I expect to have my husband's credit card, okay? I expect to have it. And I expect to have complete use of it. But I don't expect that from a boyfriend. I don't expect a man that I'm dating or courting to provide those things for me. I do expect him to provide emotional support, and to pay for dates and pay for experiences. Those are all forms of provision. If he wants to buy me gifts, he can do that. If he wants to, I will accept what he gives me. But Chengi, and this is not a we thing, it's a me thing. I don't want you to give me cash. I've got this. If you want to go behind my back and pay off my car or whatever you want to do, that's very sweet, and I'll accept that. But I'm just not. It's just not. The idea of give me money is really just embarrassing for me. It's just not. It doesn't sit well with my coding, with my wiring. And to be fair, honestly, I am at a level in my life right now where I don't need a man for financial provision per se. So what I really do need is somebody who can provide emotional, spiritual, leadership, guidance, safety, protection, care, support, love, all of those things, which actually are harder to find than a man with money. A man with money is easier to find. So, I don't think it's about provision for me. I think it's a narrow definition of provision if provision just looks like dollar bills. I think it's narrow. I think it doesn't facilitate the divine nature of a woman. I don't think it facilitates the divine nature of the feminine. I don't think it facilitates the sacredness of who we are if we're just gonna, kind of whittle everything down to dollar bills, But we all have our own love languages, and if seeing cash in your hand is how you feel loved, then you do you, boo. You know, because there's a man out there who's ready to put cash in your hand to make you feel loved. You know, it's just not for me. But my husband can give me all his credit cards, and I'll happily spend his money for the both of us. You know, yeah. What does it mean spiritually when a man doesn't give to you? It means that he's feminine and he doesn't love you. It is impossible for a man not to give. It's almost like, what does it mean for a man not to ejaculate during sex? That he's impotent. Like he's impotent. He can't. A man giving is as natural to the masculine, healthy man as it is to ejaculate. Like, it's natural. If the environment is right and the woman is feminine and she's loving and she creates the right environment around a man's masculine energy, giving is almost like a reflex. It's not even something that he's thinking about doing. So, you know. I understand. No judgment. I just want to understand. I know you want to understand. That's why I'm responding to all your wonderful questions. I don't feel judged at all. Thank you. Esther 9 Lotus, I appreciate you too. So glad I came here. So many notes. I'm so glad. I'm so glad, told Tizzy, that you're going to do that. I do feel a woman has to be self-sufficient energetically to make the best decision, but ultimately, if he doesn't provide financially, what other aspect does a man bring? I don't think I'm saying a man doesn't provide financially. Is that what I'm saying? Is that what you ladies are hearing me say? A man will absolutely provide financially, especially if you're going to marry him. Financial provision is part of the provision package. It's not the only provision package. I guess this is what I'm trying to say, and maybe I'm not being clear. It's everything. I think sadly women have not been protected properly, and we haven't been loved properly. So what we have done is chosen to just take the money and run. Because at least with money, we can provide all the things we need for ourselves. We can go shopping, we can, get the help we need. We can use that money to meet those needs, because women haven't been loved properly by the masculine. A man's job to love, and a lot of men don't even know how to love a woman properly, by the way, because they think, I'm gonna go to work, and give you some money, and then we're gonna film us giving each other money. But a man in his masculine is the overall caretaker of a woman emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. So when we make a quarter the whole, we're always gonna run empty. I'm not saying a man shouldn't give financially. I'm saying I don't need my boyfriend to give me money. I don't need him to put money in my hand. My husband has to give me all his money, okay? But my boyfriend doesn't need to do that. That's not his job. His job is to prove to me that he's competent and capable. He has to provide our date. He has to. I would like to see him willingly, lovingly provide for my needs to the extent that he chooses to, not to the extent that I demand. If I want something, I'll buy it for myself. If he wants to buy it for me instead, that's on him, right? If he wants to be generous with me, that's on him. But I will never go to him and say, hey, I need a car. Hey, I need money. Hey, I need food. Hey, it's not something that I'm going to do. But I need to see that he wants to provide and that he's generous, and it's his joy and his pleasure to provide when we are dating and courting. When we are married, we would have established the nature of things, and he will be the primary caretaker and the caregiver of the relationship, in terms of the structure of it and the financing of it and all of these things. And I, will be the primary caretaker of the energy of it and the spirituality, the love and the nurturing of it, and him. So it's about understanding what we should expect from a man when we're dating, what we should expect from him in courtship, and what we should expect from him in marriage. And that's that. And number two, it's about you. You've got to choose who you are. If you're a money, give me money or else, girl, go get your money. Like, I did not say that this is a law. If money is your love language, go get you that money. It's not mine. It's just that simple. I can't. I don't know if I can't keep addressing this. I think I've made it clear. I hope I've made it clear. Somebody tell me if I've made it clear or not. Ooh. Hey, Mama Swan, how do I initiate a date with a man who is always chasing me when I'm outside? He always shows up in the right time and place. You don't initiate a date. A man initiates the date. Why would you initiate the date? Let the man be the man. Because if you initiate the date, then you have to initiate the call, then you have to initiate the next day, then you have to initiate the sex, then you're going to be initiating until you're initiating the proposal. What you're going to do, where's it going to stop? You have to set the dynamic the way it should be. If he's following you around and he doesn't have the guts to ask you out, that's on him. But, if you're asking me, how can I create an atmosphere where he can feel safe and happy and feel like he's got the thumbs up to make the ask, then that's really just about being friendly and warm and playful, and he will ask. So you can create an environment where a man feels safe to ask, and that's called flirt and date, baby. Flirt and date masterclass. But to actually initiate a date, that's being in your masculine. And if he's a masculine guy, that's going to put him off. If it's feminine, you're going to be looking after him as your girlfriend for the rest of the dynamic, Do you have any advice on dating outside one's race? Is something I'm considering. My advice is you date whoever loves you. You go where you're appreciated and celebrated in this world. Okay? I spend my 30s dating only white guys because I was living in a white neighborhood, working in a white world. I was the only black face in every room for a good 10 years. So I dated what was available. And prior to that, I was like, I would never. But trust me, I work with women from all over the world, all races, all creeds, all types, all colors, everywhere. Call into the Black Swan Relationship Academy, and men are men. They're gonna be some cultural differences. They're gonna be some, but men are men. They like what they like. I'm currently in Italy, and Italian men love a black woman. Okay, can I get an amen? Hello. It's crazy. So you have to, if you are ready to open your heart to love, then you've got to be okay with it coming in any way, shape, or form. I know that this may not be popular, but because I know, there are parts of the world that don't feel the same way. But I definitely think here in Europe, we don't really care. In Europe, you date who you date. You do what you gotta do. And I think that we should be open and available to love. But if you have your preference and what you want, then you stick to that. But if you're open, be open and see how that works for you. So that's, I think, all I'm gonna say, unless you have a more specific question. My complimentary call with Coach Yvonne was life-changing. I can only imagine what the course and the masterclass have in store. I'm so excited. I am excited to have you too. And isn't that amazing? Yes, your one call will change your life. And I'm so glad. I'm sure Coach Yvonne is happy to hear that too. Can you say something about giving back in feminine ways to a man who is a generous suitor? Yeah. Men don't want things from women. They want appreciation, validation, and admiration. Okay. So when a man does something for you that you know he went out of his way, made an effort, whether it's opening a door for you or buying you a gift or giving you something, it's how you celebrate him for it. It's how you make him feel for doing it. That's actually what he's chasing. He's not, if he's masculine, he's not chasing, he doesn't want a gift for a gift, you know. He wants that feeling that he's made you happy, that his efforts are seen, known, they have been appreciated. He wants to feel that whether it's big or small, it is met with the same level of enthusiasm and appreciation, and that as a result of all of his hard work and effort, he sees admiration and respect. That is what a masculine man wants in return for being generous. A feminine man is usually putting a down payment on all the things he's going to extract from your life thereafter. Okay, he's going to give, and then he's going to sit back and say, now you owe me. All right? So we got to be careful. A masculine man is going to be happy with what I've just said. We'd love to hear more about your Eat, Pray, Love journey. I will share that, I promise. It's been quite the journey. Not quite like the movie. Let's see, what do we have here? My confirmation to take a trip to Italy. Italy is I actually didn't have it on my list because I live in Europe and I've got this annoying habit of taking for granted, you know, things that are close by. I like to do longer journeys. I was more interested in flying to the States or Thailand or somewhere really far, or the Caribbean. But I really didn't fancy a long haul flight because I'd just been to the States, and I just did not fancy another 6-8 hour flight to Thailand or somewhere crazy. I wanted something quite close to home, no more than 3 hours, and where the weather was amazing because I'm avoiding the winter. So this came up on my search. I was like, warm places in Europe, no more than 3 hours away, and this part of Italy came up. So it was really not planned, but I know there's a lot of kind of hoopla around Italy. A lot of people come to Italy. And I'm never really one to join the party, but I have to say that it is absolutely worth the reputation. Italian people are just so warm, they're just so friendly, so sweet. The weather is amazing, it's beautiful. Just such a lovely, I love their way of life. I love that they have a siesta of sorts. The shops are closed between like 12 and then they're going to open again at 7 p.m. and then everything comes alive and it's wonderful and the lights are on and it's just such a beautiful place. I'm in Sardinia, by the way. So it's just, it takes me home. It actually takes me home to Africa where I was raised. So it's such a lovely vibe, so chill. People actually live here. They do family matters here. Family is important. I love their way of life. I love the energy of the place, and I probably would move to Italy. I actually am looking for a place in the world to live as well as England, and I am starting to learn Italian because no one hardly speaks English around here, so I'm kind of starting to learn. But I would absolutely love to live in Italy, but I might do a tour around. I do want to do Sicily, and I want to go to Lake Como, and I want to see more of it because it's a very big place. So I may do that, or my next flight will be somewhere completely different. And that's kind of part of the journey. I am making it up as I go because I'm a control freak, and normally I like everything planned to the last, but part of my personal development journey, part of healing some of my own wounds, is living in a state of not controlling and not always being ahead of things, and allowing myself to receive as I go. So always on a healing journey, always on a self-discovery journey, and God has given me a window in time to take care of me, and I am incredibly grateful for the opportunity, for the team that I have, that are able to take the weight off me and allow me to show up for you ladies in these kind of ways, because I get to show up for myself, because I have people who just fight for the vision, who fight for the vision every day, who show up for the vision every day. And so I am taking this opportunity. My son is 18. He doesn't need his mom in the same way. So life kind of presented me with a massive change. And I woke up one morning and I didn't know why I was living the way I was living. You know, I just had this midlife crisis. And I didn't understand my life anymore. So I decided to go and find it, to go and find the next phase of my life. So that's part of my Eat Love journey. But I promise I'll probably end up doing a YouTube video at the end or the middle of the journey to let you know, all of you know how that's going. But it's a phase. I feel like I'm turning the page and starting a new chapter, and hopefully that will manifest itself in being more for you and for everybody in my life, being a little bit more fruitful, because I was totally burnt out and lacking inspiration. I'm glad that I was clear. Sometimes I'm not sure if I'm clear. I genuinely am not sure if I'm clear. So I wasn't telling you off, my darling. I just sometimes talk and I'm not always sure that I'm being heard. So if you feel I'm being clear, then that's good. Should I follow up after the first date, or should I wait for him to suggest we should see each other again? You need to wait for him to suggest. We need to allow the man to lead, okay? And we have to take how he leads as data, okay? It's not about, I want to get what I want to get out of a man. I want to get out of him what I want to get out of him, okay? That's not how it works. If you're going to be dating for marriage or for something long-term or meaningful or profound, it's how does he move? How does he handle me? How does he handle this dynamic? Does he lead in a way that serves my essence? Does he lead in such a way that I feel safe and comfortable and sure and steady with him? Is he my rock in the way that he leads? So if he's asked me for a date and then the next date is 6 weeks later, does that feel safe and good and comfortable to my body? Does that feel safe? Is it something that this is data that I continue to do this long term? And if your answer is yes, then just keep doing it with a smile on your face. If your answer is no, then call it a day. But don't get into controlling the dynamic. You know, sometimes when men are leading the way they're leading, when we're feeling unsafe or unsure, we get into controlling. Part of the points that I was making about why they then lose attraction. And the reason we're controlling is because we want to have some power over the dynamic. But the power that you have over the dynamic is your ability to lean back and watch and observe and choose for yourself what works for your heart. Is it risky playing a dating card game like We're Not Strangers, the dating version after several dates? I don't see any reason why you can't play any games that allow you to get to know each other, because you always have the right to say, I don't feel comfortable answering that question right now, but when I get to know you better, I would like to revisit that. You know, I don't think we should be afraid of curiosity, of showing who we are, but feeling too that you have the power to say, I'm not comfortable answering this question right now at this minute. Maybe when we get to know each other a bit better, or maybe when I feel a bit safer in the dynamic. So you have control about what you answer. You don't have to answer a question because it was asked. I've heard men like it when women ask them for support. Is it true? And what is the healthy feminine way to do it? Yes, absolutely. Men love it when you ask for support. I teach this even if you can. So today, the manager of the Airbnb came to see me because we're having a problem with Netflix. We can't do that now, can we? And I like to always observe, and I'm always at work. I try not to be, but he was kind of having a hard time trying to figure it out. And my kind of little Miss Control Freak instinct was, let me do it. Like, let me help you. Can I help you, right? And I had to sit my butt down and let him be the guy. And, bless him. He is out there trying to figure out a solution that I could probably figure out myself. But it's practicing to allow a man to support you. So that's one way, is letting him do it. Don't try and save him. It might be annoying. It might take longer. Let him do it. Let him be the hero. Let him serve and support you. But again, if it's, you need something wired up or lift, darling, would it be okay if you help me do this, or would you be happy to help put that up for me? Men love that. It says, I need you. I have a place and space for you. Asking for help from a man, would you mind helping me with this suitcase? It's very heavy. That's always going to make him feel good, and that is the feminine way, is to have to ask. And unfortunately, we don't ask enough. We would rather lug the heavy stuff or do the heavy stuff. I steer clear of asking for money. I think if your situation needs financial support, I would probably state the situation and let him offer the support. But again, you got to look at the relationship that you have. But if it's anything else, thank you. Yes, a flight less than an hour is the best kind of flight. You're feeling the same way. I can't wait for an update. I'm excited that you ladies care, and I will update you. Right, I think this has to be the last question because my brain is starting to shut down. Yay, I got to the last question. I don't like to leave anybody unanswered. Toxic trait of mine. I have such a sex appeal that men are attracted to. Should I try to tone it down, or just keep dating until I find someone that can not focus on just that? I will never tell anybody to dial down their dark feminine energy, but I would definitely say that I get that there's some women that have a lot of dark feminine energy. I actually feel I'm one of those women. It can feel like a pest because it's like, do you not see me? Do you not see that I'm a whole human with a whole heart and desires beyond being your sexual fantasy? But that's just because there's just a lot of dark feminine energy, which sometimes is rooted in trauma. So if it's overbearing, then the antidote is to build upon your light feminine. So what I learned very early is that I'm never going to have a hard time getting sexual attraction from men. But I learned that because it came so naturally, I could only amplify my light feminine. So I developed my more playful side, my more innocent, because we're not one thing. We're light and dark feminine. And when we are overly sexual, because I don't even know if that's the right term, overly sexual. Women, feminine energy is very sexual. It's incredibly sexual. So I don't know if, if the nature of a thing is to be very sexual, then maybe it can't be overly sexual. But if we feel that we are being exploited or seen in only one way and we have another way, then what we need to do is bring balance to the dark. So it's about you navigating your light and dark feminine. It's about your dress code, dressing in a way that portrays more of your light feminine. So because the dark is going to come out in your aura anyway, it's going to come out in your field. Make sense? So it's about really building up on the more light feminine, and you can do that by getting the Feminine Mastery Masterclass. I would probably go on a complimentary call and see what's really going on there, but I would do the Feminine Mastery Masterclass and the Dark Feminine, and so you can understand what's going on, because until you understand what's going on with you, you feel like, what is going on? Okay, so I would bring to balance your light feminine, and perhaps change your dress, and perhaps change how you communicate or move with. So I don't believe in toning down anything about us. I believe that if something is overly amplified, it's because it's out of balance, it's out of alignment. So we just need to bring it into alignment. So if we are being overly vocal, I don't think it's, we should shut ourselves down. I think that when we overcorrect in anything, it's because we're out of alignment, we're out of our equilibrium, we're not in our center. And a just weight is what the Lord requires. So whether you call him the Lord, the universe, it exists on the principle of balance. So whenever something is leaning a bit too heavy on one side, it means that you are out of balance. Something is happening within your field, within your space. Something is happening with you that has you off balance. So, when you've got scales and it's heavy, you're going to put something else on the other side, right, to create balance. So what is missing from you in this moment to bring balance? Because we want you to be in your dark feminine. We want you to be sexual. We want you to be sexy, because that is being fully in your feminine, right? Being in tune with your body, your sexuality. We want that. We don't want to tone it down. We want it to come to the party so that we can be truly seductive and truly attractive and enticing. We want that, but it's just that we need to bring more of the other. And darlings, I love you to bits and pieces. And see una belle vie, I love you to bits and pieces. I love a curious mind. I suspect you're going to have to join the House of Swans. The House of Swans, I did say we're going to launch in November, but we're going to have to move it to December. But I'm going to talk about that more in the masterclass. And we're going to discuss the House of Swans. And I love that you've got all these questions, and these are things that we can address in the House of Swans more regularly, more often, okay, than when I pop on Instagram, because I know you have so many questions. I love it. I absolutely love it. So have yourselves the most wonderful day, morning, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. I am sending you my love. I'm sending you kisses, and I am sending you hugs. And I will see you on Saturday at the free masterclass for those of you who are coming, or I will see you on my next live. In the meantime, take care of you. Love you lots. Bye.